The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I had a great guest for us today. He comes to us all the way from Case Western Reserve University up in Cleveland, Ohio. He is in the management of the administration. We're going to get into all of that there and what he actually does. But Cole Schneider joins the show. Cole, thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So before we get into your background and everything, is it true you once met Rob Schneider, the famous comedian and actor? We're just gonna get this out the way early.
So apparently he's a cousin of mine, or like a distant cousin. But I met him at Full Sail when I was working there in the admissions department. He was shooting his show. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like this would have been probably 10 years ago. So he was shooting his show at the time. And he was not the friendliest guy in the world, but it was fine. I don't blame him. He probably had a million people trying to meet him.
Yeah, it's always weird when you see somebody like that's that famous out, and that you get that quick little intro to them, and like that's just kind of your basis for them.
Oh yeah.
Back in college, the Pittsburgh Steelers would always do a charity basketball game at Bethany College, and I met Charlie Batch, and I had always been a fan of Charlie Batch. I thought he was a pretty decent quarterback. And they were signing autographs at halftime for everybody, and like I was like third or fourth in line up to meet him. And I heard him turn to somebody and go, "Can we hurry this up? I have places to be." And it's just like, wow, you're here for charity. What a dick. Like, I mean, I don't like, to this day, I'm just like, yeah, you know what, Charlie Batch, he's just a jerk. I don't like him anymore. Like, and that was the only interaction I had with him, was just hearing that from like 3 or 4 people away. And yeah, to this day, I'm just like, yeah, you don't want to meet Charlie Batch. He's a jerk. Like, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I've met. It's funny. I met Tommy Lasorda, famous manager for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I think he might have managed some other teams, but I'm not completely sure. But we were at this like charity baseball game, and Joe Walsh was there. Strangely enough, the guitar player from the Eagles. It was like this summer camp thing. But we met both of them, and Tommy Lasorda. I asked him to sign my baseball. And he looks at the baseball. It's got a bunch of signatures on it from a bunch of old Dodgers players. And he just looks at me and he goes, "Where the fuck am I supposed to sign this?" And he just throws the ball at me and doesn't sign it. Later, I went back and got him to sign it. He did end up signing it, but it was just like the weirdest interaction I've ever had with a human being.
Yeah, that's probably not the best first impression, but that's still funny as hell.
Yep.
So I always have to fact check Johnny anytime he sends me anything. So you're originally from Maryland, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Well, a suburb of Baltimore, but that general area. It's kind of like Cleveland. Everybody says they're from Cleveland, even though they're not necessarily
from like Willoughby or
exactly.
something like that. Okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, take us through a little bit of that. Where you're from and everything like that. And what it was like growing up there.
Maryland's great. People there are who they are. A lot of government employees, things like that. My dad's originally from upstate New York. My mom's from Northern Virginia, and they met in the middle, kind of. So I was born there, actually in a town called Salisbury, which is on the eastern shore of Maryland. If you think of Maryland, it kind of looks like a weird claw. I was on the ocean side of the bay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and then I grew up on the western shore. Lived there, born and raised, ended up moving down to Florida. And then now I'm here.
All right. Yeah. So it sounds like you've moved around a good bit. I don't know why anybody would leave Florida for Ohio. But that's to be seen, especially with the winters we've had and how cold it's been this past winter. But you also played sports and were involved in music growing up. So like, how did you balance both of those endeavors?
My father forced me. I mean, the thing is, it's like, he's a musician. I grew up loving baseball, loving football as well, played both. And then also did jazz throughout high school, jazz band. But that was what really stuck with me. The football thing, my coach didn't necessarily love me very much. And my baseball coach loved me, but I was not very good at baseball. So it was kind of a funny thing. I was better at football, but my coach, for some reason, just absolutely hated me throughout the whole entire time.
I had one of those in high school. I wasn't like the best player in the world. I was a decent receiver. And my coach just did not like me because I spoke my mind. And like just absolutely did not like me. And I got kicked out of a lot of practices. And it took till my senior year of me just getting just absolutely pummeled on scout team. And then he was like, "Yeah, we'll put you on like kickoff as a senior." And it's just like, whatever. I'm starting somewhere. I don't even care at this point in time.
It's so interesting. I know.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I was listening. I know you probably saw me turn around. I don't know if you just heard the cat fight that just literally happened
Oh, was that
behind.
what that
Like
was?
my cats just anytime. Anytime I'd go to record, my animals are like, let's see how we can get into the show. And they just decide to fight or come up and just absolutely just be as loud as humanly possible. It never fails. And
Amazing.
yeah, I was just like, what the hell is like, oh, okay. It's just my cats being assholes is what it is. But, um, yeah. So when you said your dad was forced you, it would force you into sports or force you into the music part of it?
Both, yeah. I mean,
Both.
he wanted me active. He didn't want me to get in trouble. When I was growing up, so I lived in Maryland for a couple years, or Florida for a couple years. When I was, my parents are divorced, so my mom lives in Florida, my dad lives in Maryland. Still the case. So I lived in Maryland for a couple years, or Florida for a couple years
Yeah.
when I was like third or fourth grade, and then by fifth grade, I was getting in a bunch of trouble. So my mom sent me back up north to live with my dad, and my dad took it upon himself to basically make sure I never got in any trouble. It didn't
Gotcha.
work, but he
Wow.
thought it was going
Yeah.
to.
Those ages, it's just like, yeah, I'm going to do
Mhm.
what I'm going to do.
Yeah, totally.
So I definitely get that. So fast forward, you graduate from high school, you go up to college, and I believe you chose John Hopkins University to attend. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to the Peabody Institute for Music performance. So
Okay.
I did jazz there. Didn't finish at the time, which you don't really, I mean, honestly, with a music degree, it's one of those things where, I mean, I could have finished and I could have, worked somewhere, but it wasn't really going to be worth it for the money. Plus, it was during the housing crisis. So, my mother was kind of going through some stuff down in Florida, needed some help. So I kind of just hightailed it down, got out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree that I am absolutely 100% not using in any way, shape, or form. Um,
Mhm.
I have a day job and I'm a stand-up comedian. So like I don't know why you would need a bachelor's degree to be a stand-up comedian, albeit my
Right.
degree's in communications. So I guess you could
Oh,
say, I'm
you're
using that,
utilizing it
but
somewhat.
I'm
Yeah.
using a little bit of it, but
Yeah.
not to what I thought I was going to do because it was in sports broadcasting and journalism, not even close to using any of that except for, we talk a little bit of sports on the podcast, but that's about it. Yeah. So
How
I
do you like
get,
stand? I've always been terrified of doing something like stand up because it's so individualized. How do you
yeah,
like doing it?
I love it.
Yeah.
At first, I had crippling stage fright. Um,
Hmm.
would have to show up to shows like hours beforehand because most of them when you're starting out are in bars and get a lot of liquid courage in me to get up on stage.
Hmm.
Now I look forward to it, 13 years in doing comedy, I look forward
Hmm.
to getting on stage. And it's just a rush when you can make a room full of people laugh and know that you were the reason for that interaction. It's probably a lot like music when you get that applause at the end of it. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
play guitar. I mean, but it's nothing to the level of like performing.
It's all, yeah. I always have a lot of respect for comedians, and I have friends that are comedians, and they've always kind of said the same thing. It's kind of like that mutual. Hey, we're both putting ourselves out there. It's just a different scope of entertainment, but it really is just it's that high that we're chasing, that fun of like getting in front of people and in them and actually enjoying your craft, whatever it is that you're doing. It's a beautiful thing. I totally understand that.
Yeah, I had an absolutely sold out show a couple weeks ago. I mean,
Nice.
but by the time this airs, I mean, it'll probably be close to a month ago. But still, it was the first show of 2025 that I had, and absolutely standing room only at this place, and the crowd was great. Obviously, there's those hecklers that you're going to get no matter where you
Mhm.
go, and I look
Yeah.
forward to those. Like I can't wait for somebody to heckle me. Oddly enough, in this show, one of the hecklers was my wife. She chose to heckle her husband. So but it's fun. I mean, I love
You
the
probably had it
interaction.
coming.
Oh, I did is because I didn't get to the 100% punchline of the joke in the time that she wanted me to because it was one that she was involved in. So it was a story about something we both did. And it was, it was about how we basically cock blocked our neighbor, for lack of a better term. But she had her boyfriend coming over. We didn't know. It was real late at night. My son was out because a couple of his friends were messing with our house and, just doing normal teenager things. So he said he was just going to catch them and do this. And so we go out after my son calls. It's like, hey, there's this creepy dude, like, walking around and looking in Mary's window. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. We're like, well, you stay there where you're at. And by the time I could get off my couch and get to like my little sun porch to where I could see my neighbor's house, which was like 10 feet from my couch for me to get there. I don't have that big of a house. Like my wife had already grabbed her 9mm and was out the back door.
Oh God.
And like she mom voiced him a little bit too when she saw him. She was like, yeah, no, go. And he just about face and walked up the street. And so we knock on her door and just to let her know, hey, like there was a creepy dude. Like she's a single mom living by herself. She's probably around our age in her mid-30s. And so she answers the door in just a towel. And she's like, oh yeah, that was my friend. He was just, I was like, oh, sorry. We didn't know he was wearing all black and he was just kind of like creeping around your house. She'd forgot she locked the doors. And that was the only reason he couldn't get into the house. But yeah, I didn't get to the knocking on the door part. And like my wife was like, well, finish the joke. I was like, I was getting there. So yeah, I mean, we looked good as a unit, my family. I'll say that because we had it down pat, the whole stakeout situation. But but yeah, so I mean, it's just people always like a lot of comedians like don't want hecklers at their shows. I am like 100% hoping somebody heckles me at my shows, and it's because I have a microphone. Everyone's in proximity to a speaker system. I'm going to ruin your night if you're going to yell something out to me. I got this stigma as being the angry white comic because I go on these long felt rants in my stories and storytelling comedian that just So I mean, I'll ruin your night. I'm telling you, like everybody, but it's so much fun to be on stage in a long. Version
I'm so
to get to it.
Somebody's gonna to be heckled is like such a scary thing for me because I'm not quick with that sort of thing, like to get back at someone for saying, you know what I mean? Like I don't have that bone in me. So it's always impressive whenever I see somebody that's super quick witted and they can hit them with something. It's just like nice. And of course, like F that guy for doing it or whoever. Like it's so shitty to call out while somebody's performing.
Right.
But I guess, I was listening to an interview recently about I think it was from Stavvy, the stand up. And he was talking about how this new crowd work phenomenon that's happening with like Instagram reels and things has kind of made audiences more ruckus. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And they were like, is that good for comedy or is that bad for comedy? And I don't know. Like, what do you think about that as a comedian?
It's a double-edged sword. For me, like I said, like it's less jokes I have to write because I am very quick-witted. Like basically, everyone has those thoughts. Like when you're out in public and somebody like says something and like your first response to seeing that like out in public and you don't say it, like that's the thing. And when you're on stage, you get to say it. Like you get to tell that person exactly what you feel. And a lot of people get a laugh out of that. But like you said, like if you were up there, like you would not like to be heckled and like you wouldn't be able to quickly snap back at them. So it's a double-edged sword because it works for me. Because like I know like just certain rooms that I'm going to work. Like, okay, like this is going to be a rowdy room. I probably don't need to have a lot of jokes prepared because people are going to yell out and then the entirety of my show is going to be me trashing this person. And I cannot wait. Like I said, I like it. I look forward to it. I warn people at the start of every one of my shows, like, if you're thinking about heckling, go ahead. I like it. I'm just letting you know I'm going to ruin your night, just so we're all on the same page here. We can all have a fun night, and just let me tell my jokes and get through my set and my bits, and no one's feelings will get hurt, or I can hurt your feelings, and everyone else will get a laugh except for you. So
it's actually kind of a good deterrent to do that right off the bat, right off rip, just to be like, hey, just so you know, if you come at me, I'm going to destroy you. It probably prevents a lot of people from doing it. They're like, maybe the next guy I'll get. I don't know.
Yeah, the like I said, the last show, like, even one of the other hecklers, like, she bought my wife and I a drink after she's like, I am so sorry. Like, my husband told me, like, I ruined. You're like, no, trust me, I've had way worse than what you've said. So like, you don't have, like, you're fine. You didn't have to do this. I appreciate it, but yeah. So, I mean, I've had people come up to me, and she even said, like, I don't know, I see it all the time on social media. Like, I just thought that's what comedians liked. I was like, you found the right one to do that to. Anybody else, I might not want to go that hard at, because you came pretty hard, but I came back a lot harder. So you made my show.
Like, hecklers are never clever. Like in music, it's always like free bird, or it's something like that. So I'm assuming it's the same. It's like, you suck, or something like that.
Yeah,
I just can't imagine it's ever any good.
One of her heckles was like, "Oh, you were funny till you weren't." And it's like, oh, how original! No one's ever fucking said that. Like,
also, what the hell does that even mean? Like,
it doesn't. And that's pretty much sense. What I was like. That's not even good English. How drunk are you right now? Like, why don't you just go have another drink, and you just enjoy your night there, sweetheart? Because you don't want to keep coming at me. I'm telling you right now.
So interesting.
Yeah. But like I said, you've traveled a lot for work here. So what are some of the various positions that you've had, after graduating college and everything like that? You've traveled, like I said, it's pretty interesting. I mean, for me, I'm a comedian, so I'm on the road a good bit. So, but what's that like for you and your travels and your experiences?
Well, I mean, I like living in different places. I think traveling and kind of seeing different areas is important. If you get stuck in one place, like, that's just kind of sad, right? So I always feel like you should travel. You should see different things in your life. Living in different places is awesome. Maryland is so expensive nowadays. When I was a kid, it was much more reasonable to live there. Now you have to be so rich to be able to live in some of the areas that we're living in. And then down in Florida, you made a joke about not wanting to live there. Let me tell you, dude, the summers are brutal. They talk about the winters up here in Cleveland and how gnarly they can be, but it's almost the opposite with Florida, and summers are completely unbearable. At least here I can put on layers, But when I was down in Florida, I found this college through a buddy of mine, a musician buddy. It was called Full Sail University, and it's like a entertainment arts university kind of. They do like production, things like that. And it was kind of, I could talk about things that I love. I love music. I love movies. I love, video games. So it really had all of those things. It was kind of an easy job to take. But I started out doing like receptionist work, essentially. Like, I worked at the main building front desk where they do the tours and everything. So I did that for about a year until I got moved over into working with students on campus to get them into admissions, which it's a for-profit school. So it's very sales-like. So there were quotas, essentially, even though you can't really do that in education. They still found a sneaky way of doing it. So I did that. And then I went into online. Full Sail has a huge online school. Like, I think they have like 40,000 people online or something.
That's all I've really seen for Full Sail is their online. Yep. Like, that's, I've heard of Full Sail, and it's only mainly been like their online portion. They actually have a campus, correct?
They do actually have a campus, and it's a cool. The thing is, like, really, if you're going to go, you got to go to the campus, because it's, you're going to live in Orlando, which is great if you want to do that. But then like they have great equipment there. Like, they spend millions of dollars on this stuff. And, maybe there's 2,000 students, something like that, actually on the campus. But it also, you could kind of look at it as a marketing tool for them, right? Like they can put that online and say, look at this beautiful school, but you're going to be online using a Mac that we give you. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
not, it's kind of selling this, this vision that isn't there for an online student. So I didn't really love that job very much. I loved it at first, but when I got into the online world, it really kind of sucked the joy out of, working with students and kind of helping them realize their dreams. So I left there. Then I worked for a college that was online called Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. And I was working with like students that were doing interior design, which you can definitely
Okay.
do online. Like you
Yeah.
don't need, because that's everything's going to be in a CAD program or something along those lines. And then my girlfriend and I moved up here. My girlfriend at the time moved up here, and because her family lives in Solon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we broke up, but I love it up here. I've got buddies that I played music with, still do, that live up here, and I love my job. I actually like Case Western a lot. Um, it's a really good university, so I've kind of just stuck it out up here, and it's been totally worth it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it. I know the summers in Florida can get brutal.
Oh, they
Like
are.
my aunt lives down in Naples, Florida.
Okay. Mhm.
So I mean, she used to come up for like Thanksgiving and Christmas. She does not anymore. Because she just doesn't like the cold.
Fair.
But I still remember, I mean, one year for whatever reason, like the beginning of August, it was probably the last family vacation that we all took. We went down to Orlando in
Mhm.
August, and not the best idea. Like it was brutal down
It
there.
is.
And
And
like,
it rains every afternoon, which
yeah,
is
like
kind of
it,
rough.
it was like that, like 10-20 minute, like absolute downpour that it was just sunny and beautiful again.
Yep.
So
Insane.
yeah, it was just the most bipolar. Like you think Ohio is bipolar weather, like that? No, Florida takes the cake. I mean, given it doesn't
Yeah.
get like -2 to like 70 in one day, and like it does here, but like yeah, you get those freak quick storms, thunderstorms, and then it's just like, oh, like it never happened, just sunny, beautiful, and then it's just even more humid, like
Yep.
after that rain. So
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
disgusting, man. There's a songwriter named David Dondero, and he says you can cut the humidity with a knife, and I think that
mhm.
that's kind of the perfect way to put it. He's 100% correct. I mean, it is. If you ever take a plane down and you're getting off of a plane and you hit that tunnel, that initial tunnel coming off the plane, immediately it's just like a warm hug that
Yeah.
you just walk into. It's interesting.
That's yeah. We always would fly down when we went down there, and
Mhm.
like you said, you get off and you're just like, oh, it's
Woof.
thick,
Yeah,
it's
it's rough.
thick.
Yep.
But I've always, I mean, I'm a warm blooded person. Like I can never be
Same.
cool enough as it is.
Mhm.
Um, and I've I've always said I'd rather be cold than hot because I could always put more layers on. I can only take so much off, and then
Totally.
you're just out of options at that point in time.
Mhm.
So I get that to a point, but um, as I get older, I start to hate the snow more and more. So I also get like the snowbirds after they retire to go down south for the winter. So
Yeah, yeah.
I understand that for sure.
Yeah, this
Um,
is the worst winter I've had so far. Like I moved here in 22. So it's been
yeah,
pretty easy sailing for the most part. This is really the first year where it's like, oh, this kind of sucks.
yeah.
But right
This is
now it's beautiful. It's beautiful again. We're 40 degrees, but uh,
for almost February in Ohio.
not too bad.
I'll
Yeah.
take 40s. I'll take
Yeah,
40s all
exactly.
day every day. You know?
Are- so you're located in Cleveland, or where are you
No.
located?
I am in a little town called Philo, Ohio. It's about an hour east of Columbus.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm more central Ohio,
Yep.
where I'm at right now. But I was originally born and raised in West Virginia. So
Oh, nice. My buddy's
yeah.
from Point Pleasant.
Oh, okay. That's
Yep.
one place in West Virginia that I just have not visited yet, and I want to. Is
Mhm.
Point Pleasant. Mainly because like my wife and I were into like these ghost hunting shows, and
The
the
Mothman. Yeah.
Mothman. I've
Yep.
always wanted to go and see that museum and everything like that, and just be there for
Okay.
that, to experience that.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
but yeah, we're big into the paranormal. My wife and I,
Awesome.
like it's to the like it's weird because my wife doesn't like haunted houses or scary movies, but
Yeah.
we will watch like a paranormal show like every night when we're eating dinner. Like, and it's just become our dinner shows now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're running out on Discovery Plus. So if anybody from there is listening, like update your paranormal stuff a little faster. Like we are running out of shows. We were
Awesome.
we were big into the Ghost Adventures. Like we loved that show, and
My buddy loves that show too. Still watches it. I
they
think he's
just
seen
haven't
everything.
come out with new episodes, and we're just like, all right, you're way past when the new season should have been out. Like we want new. We've watched all of them thousands of times. We can only rewatch them so many times before we're like saying what's going to happen before it happens. Like we've seen it
Yeah.
that many times. But it's funny because she didn't like any of that stuff before she met me.
Okay.
Like she doesn't like being scared, which I don't
Mhm.
understand. Those people are like, oh, I love being scared.
Yeah.
And so, but like I always loved watching that stuff, and I'm into that stuff a little bit. So she kind of started to get into it too as well. So I've
And
gotten her into a
no
lot of things.
judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment. Do you believe in this stuff, or is it more just like like wrestling, right? Where it's it's fake, but it's still entertaining. Or do you believe in like extraterrestrial life, whatever it might be? Do you believe in it?
I don't believe in the extraterrestrials, but I do believe there is a spiritual world.
Okay.
I've had experiences to where
Hmm.
it's just stuff that I can't explain, and I don't want to say it's paranormal, but it's more the you can't explain that.
Sure.
Like
Yep.
that's what intrigues me. Like, okay, how did that happen? Like,
Yeah.
if I can debunk something, I will debunk the hell out of it. And like, no, dude, this is why that happened. But there's been
Yeah.
stuff that has happened in the house we're currently living in, and so it's to the point. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I don't know how you explain that. Like, our front door literally
Yeah.
just slammed shut, and it's a pretty heavy door. And it just slammed shut one
Interesting.
night. And we were the only two here. Like our dog was sitting there. Like we have a 110-pound husky. Like she didn't grow up and just like throw the door shut herself. Like just
Right.
running
Yeah.
into it being a dumb husky. Like, but and it was like, okay, so wasn't one of the animals. Our 15-year-old's not here. How the hell did that
Yeah.
happen? Like, and it's just stuff like that. So yeah, I believe in that stuff.
Yeah.
But like the aliens with like the extraterrestrial stuff, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, I've never had anything happen to me like that. I think probably like in that thought process, it might be that some people are more susceptible to these sort of things, like, like a psychic, right? Or
Yeah.
somebody like that is in touch with those things. Maybe I'm just like, I have like ghost blockers or something where it just totally blocks
Ghost
that.
block. That might. I think you just came up with a new show, like just people
Yeah.
that just don't, but just ghost blockers. Like nothing happens to them, but like people wanted to happen to them.
Mhm.
You just can't. It could be paranormal
Mark it
comedy.
down.
Then
Yep,
we'll
yep.
we'll write that down. And if anybody takes that, this is timestamps, just so you
Yeah.
guys know the show.
We'll make hundreds.
Yeah, we will make tens of dollars on that. Yeah,
That's right. Exactly.
but you're also a big sports guy.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yep.
who are some of your favorite teams?
So I'm a weird sports fan. So my dad's from upstate New York. So he grew up a Giants fan and a Knicks fan and a Syracuse Orange fan. So I'm very much a New York fan for the most part, except for baseball. I grew up a Orioles fan. I even have my cup today.
I saw the Orioles Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's one of those things where I could watch baseball games on a regular basis because I lived in Maryland. Football is more of a national sport anyways. You don't have to live there to watch it. And the Knicks were amazing throughout the 90s. So, Patrick Ewing is a god in my eyes. So I've always just been a Knicks fan growing up. And it's been hard being a Knicks fan for a long time. But right now it's nice being a Knicks fan again. So that's been great.
I get that. I grew up in West Virginia. There's no pro sports teams in West, like so.
Yeah,
like
Cleveland or who Pittsburgh? Who do
Pittsburgh.
you root for?
I
Okay.
grew up
Yep.
an hour outside of Pittsburgh is where
Okay.
I root for all the Pittsburgh teams. But oddly enough, football, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
Interesting.
And it was mainly because when I was young, they still had those creamsicle orange jerseys. And I saw those and I was like, those are sweet. And like I was like maybe 4 or 5 when that like before they changed, and like I've just stuck with them, like because I liked their jerseys at the time. So
dude, those '90s teams were crazy. Like with Allstott, was it Brad
work
Johnson?
done. Brad Johnson was the quarterback.
Right. Yeah.
Joe Jaravicius, Keyshawn
Warren
Johnson,
Sapp.
Warren Sapp, like all those Derek Brooks,
Crazy
John Lynch.
teams.
Like I loved all those guys.
Oh, Rondé Barber.
Yeah.
Great
like,
players.
Just had so many great players on that team. So it was a little easier rooting for them when they were doing well like that. But like for a while there, it's just like, yeah, I'm a Buccaneers fan. Like it's just it's like, but but like everyone got on me like, oh, so now you're a Tom Brady fan when he went there. I was like, I still don't like Tom Brady. I hope he gets to the Super Bowl, but I still don't like him. And I don't like him because he's that good. Like, why are you that good? Why do you possess all those skills? Like
So,
that's
funny
the
thing
only
is-
reason.
Well, I'm a Giants fan, so I don't really hate Tom Brady that much because he never beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. So I'm
Right.
always just kind of in that world of like, whatever. He's the GOAT, but he couldn't beat Eli Manning for some reason. So that worked out.
Superman even has kryptonite, so you know that was
true.
Eli Manning just happened to be
For
Tom
some
Brady's
reason.
script for some reason because Eli Manning is trash. I'm
Whoa,
sorry.
whoa.
I had to get that in
No,
there.
he's
Like,
not.
He's not trash. He's not.
Yeah.
But I don't think coming from the Manning family, out of
He might go to the Pro Bowl. He might go to the Hall of Fame in his first ballot. A lot of people are really upset about that, but
I don't think he's a first ballot. I think he gets in because of the Super Bowls and beating Tom Brady, and I think he should. He deserves to get in for that, but not first. I don't think first ballot. When you have guys
and it's
like
not a Hall. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's not a Hall of Statistics, right? It's a Hall of Fame. So it's like, he's still top 10 in a lot of categories all time for quarterbacks.
Right.
Is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Does he have an MVP? Does he have anything like that? No, but it's not a Hall of Statistics, so it's not necessarily that necessary for a guy like him. But sorry.
Right. No, you're fine. I was just going to say, like, I mean, when you got guys like Hines Ward, they are like on their 4th or 5th try to get into the Hall of Fame, and like definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
100%.
100%. You got guys like him that still haven't made it. And then they're talking like, oh, well, Eli Manning first ballot. It's like, I think if it's up there, let's give Hines the bump before Eli. But
Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning. Because I always think of like that class, right? Because Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Manning, we're all in that class. It's like you put Roethlisberger in, I think, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's hated by a lot of people, but I think you put Roethlisberger and Eli. And then I don't know if Phillip Rivers gets in. I don't think he's there.
Phillip is going to be a coin flip, I think. I think there's some people that want to see him in there.
Yeah.
And then there's people that, I mean, he's definitely not a first ballot. I mean, obviously. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be way down the line. And he'll get in for something maybe. But I don't know.
Might be like a final ballot guy sort of thing.
Like kind of like, all right, this is his last shot. Like, do we give him the nod because he was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback. Yep. But like he wasn't like a terrible quarterback. I think he just
good regular season quarterback.
Yeah. I think he just got the raw end of the stick with the Eli Manning trade. Because Eli Manning could have been a Charger, and should have been a Charger.
Forced his way.
He forced his way to New York.
Thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully for you being a New York fan. But that's like,
it's not like Rivers didn't have some great players though. I mean, like LaDainian Tomlinson. He had, what was the tight end's name? Great tight end.
Tony Gonzalez was there.
He played basketball. Gosh, what is that guy's name? It's going to drive me crazy. But like some great players on that team that he probably should have done a little bit more with in the playoffs. It always seemed like he was injured or he just didn't play well.
He was made of glass. I'll give him that. Like
Yep.
it's just he always found a way to be hurt. I guess I don't want to say he found a way, but it just
I know
he
what
always
you mean. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a lot of the case with like Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback. Regular season, he can beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And the AFC Championship, where they always end up meeting, just can't get it done. And I think that like when his time comes, when he retires, like that's going to be a deciding factor, I think, for a lot of people. Like, all right, you did great in the regular season, but what happened when it was one game before the Super Bowl and you just couldn't get it done?
It's a sad thing that it's also for the Bills because they had their run back in the 90s with was it Jim Kelly, right?
Yeah,
the quarterback.
Jim Kelly. Yep.
And so is he the new Jim Kelly for the Bill? Like that would just be so sad if they never win anything, and they have this great team. It's not like they've made it to the Super Bowl like they did in those days, but it's just because the Chiefs are just that good. Like I don't know, it's just crazy how good they are.
They're becoming the new Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
That I liked them at first. I'm happy to see, them doing well, win a Super Bowl. Great. Now it's just like, can we get somebody else to play in a Super Bowl other than Patrick Mahomes?
Seriously,
like that's where I'm at. Like in the playoffs, I root for obviously my teams. I root for Pittsburgh if they're in there, Tampa if they're in there, and then whoever is playing the Chiefs. Like that's been like for the past like 2 or 3 years now. It's just like okay, those are the teams I'm rooting for this year.
Yep,
and I hate to say it because I'm not a Philadelphia sports fan at
no
home.
way, dude! Don't you dare say it! Don't say it. You can't root for the Eagles, dude.
I can't root for Mahomes. That's where I'm at. Like, and I like Jalen Hurts.
Anybody.
I will say this: I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I liked him in college, and I'd like to see him win one. But that hurts to even think. Anything Philadelphia. Like I can't. It's one of those. Like, yeah.
No, and if there's any Eagles fans out there, don't worry. Like you're a great team this year. Good luck to you. I don't mean it like that. It's just as a Giants fan, I've never been a big Eagles fan. That's for sure. It's been pretty hard to ever be okay with the Eagles. That's for sure.
That's like anybody that it's like Carolina, the Falcons, or Saints. Yeah, I could not think of that. I don't know why I couldn't think of the Saints for whatever reason. Like I can't root for them as a Buccaneers fan, or anybody like that. So I get that to a point, being, a Giants fan yourself.
Yeah.
But one sport I don't know. A lot of people don't follow it. Hockey. Do you follow hockey at all?
I never got into I like going to hockey games. Down in Florida, they actually have in Orlando. There's a hockey team. I think it's an AHL team, but they're called the Orlando Solar Bears. So they were a lot of fun to watch. And Florida hockey is very interesting. Like I went to a Tampa Bay Lightning game back when they were like really really good. So I've always enjoyed going. I went to Capitals games as a kid, but it's hard to watch on TV because I don't think it's a very good TV sport. The puck moves so quickly, and it's really hard to just pay attention to what's happening. A lot of people complain about the fights. I think the fights are great. I think it's funny. But
absolutely.
Like that, I keep that. I don't understand why people say get rid of that. I think that's such it's almost charming in a way for the sport. But I can't watch on TV. And also I didn't really grow up a fan of any of the teams. So I think if I had that loyalty from when I was a kid, it would be different, but I just don't have that loyalty to anybody.
Yeah. See, I grew up a huge hockey fan.
Okay.
I love the Penguins.
Penguins.
The Penguins. Okay. Yeah, Penguins.
Crosby,
Malkin, Lemieux, Letang, like all those guys. And it helps that, my wife's a huge hockey fan. She's an even bigger Penguins fan.
Awesome.
Like she knows more about hockey and the Penguins than I do. And I know a good bit.
That's awesome.
So like it's just something, but it is tough to follow on TV. I'll give you that. I still watch it on TV when I
Oh
can.
yeah.
But it's a sport that doesn't get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I think people don't give it the chance because it's so hard to follow because the game is so fast and the
It
puck
is
moves
fast.
quick and it's hard to
And
follow.
it's even faster than it used to be. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like nowadays, I mean, the cameras are like this, going back and forth. These guys are moving so quick. So it's, yeah, I think if they just figured it, and again, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything, but like, I think if they could figure out a way to have better production for it and you could really like see it better, I just don't know how you do that.
See, they tried this. I mean, it was back in either the late '90s, early 2000s, where they put like this blue hue around the puck, and it kind of had like a trail thing, but it like distracted a lot of people, and then the cameras wouldn't be able to like. I don't know if it was just because the year that they tried to do it when it was the late '90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
They even tried it like to where like if a player took a slap shot, it turned red like the faster the puck went. It like just
Okay.
it brought a little bit of an aspect to it, but it was hard. I think it was harder to follow that. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it just kind of I yeah, like I said, I don't know if it was just when they tried it. They probably could do a lot better with it now,
Yeah.
being 2025. But
Mhm.
that was one thing they tried, and it was just it took away from the game, I think,
Mhm.
and all
Probably
the action that
distracted it.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, and I'm a weird, like, I actually like watching lacrosse, as weird as that is. Growing up.
I've never watched a
Yeah,
lacrosse game,
I
so
know.
I
Isn't that
can't.
funny? I know. Because my dad's a Syracuse Orange fan. The Orange are really known for lacrosse. So I grew up watching like lacrosse games all the time. And in Maryland, it's really popular as well. So,
Mhm.
you could always just say, okay, he's a lacrosse fan. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like,
I mean, I understand the sport enough to like follow it if I were to watch a game, but I just
yeah.
like I can't. I watched a couple of buddies of mine because Bethany College had like started a lacrosse program.
Gotcha. Yep.
My I think it was my junior or senior year, and I was
Mhm.
working for the radio station at the time, and we were trying to plan out to be able to announce a game on the radio, and
Sweet.
we just when that time of the year when they took all of like the cable out of the press box for
Mhm.
like the internet and the phone lines for be able to remote there.
Okay.
So like we just couldn't do it. Like it was just something that Bethany did, and they never had any um, sports and teams that played that time of year. So it was just okay. Well, we just can't make it happen. So like I studied up a lot because they're like, all right, Mike, we want you to announce it. I was like, I know nothing of lacrosse. So like I studied like harder than I studied for most exams in college, I'll be honest. Like
Yeah.
for this, like I need to know. I don't want to sound like an idiot on the radio, and I need to know what I'm talking about, and never
Yeah.
happened. So I know enough to follow it,
Yeah.
but I've never actually seen a game. But Cole, we are running down near the end of the episode here. I do want to get this segment in. It is the fun way we like to end the show, and it is the
Okay.
Fast Fiddy 5.
Okay.
It is 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fiddy Falcone.
Mhm.
These are kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. And if you know the mind of Johnny, like these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about
Okay.
for the entirety of this show. So if you're ready, Cole, we can.
I'm ready, man.
All right. Oh, God. Would you rather be what is a Mog, half man, half dog, or have the superpower to be invisible?
Um, I'm not going to elaborate. A Mog.
Okay. I'm fine with that. All right. He went. I'm telling you right now. I got these today, so I haven't had a chance to like prep
Oh,
these.
this is great. You just
And
keep going.
I would say, okay, so he's going hard on you. I'm just letting you know that now. Like with
Okay.
these,
Yep.
he's question number 2: Who wins in a fight, 1,000 frogs versus 100 ducks.
God, he already asked me this question actually, which is really funny. And I said frogs, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. I think he was testing you on that one, then if he's asked you that before. Question number 3. Who's the funnier comic and actor, Adam Sandler or Kevin Hart?
Oh man, I don't like either of them all that much. I'd go Sandler over Hart though.
Okay. I'm with that one. Question number 4. If you could attend one of these iconic parades, which would you pick? The Macy's Day Parade for Thanksgiving or the Parade of Roses for the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day?
Rose Bowl, that would be awesome. And do I get to go to the game after? Because that's the real question. Because if I do, that's sick.
I mean, that's absolutely 100% why I would pick that one. Last question here. One word to describe Joe Rogan is...
Oh God. One word.
One word.
Meathead.
All right. I'm all right with that. I'm telling you right now, Cole, he has been taking it light on people when we've done this segment. Like he went like a lot harder on you with these questions than most people have gotten. So, but that was the Fast 55.
Sweet. Put me on the spot with Rogan. And as easy knows, I hate Joe Rogan.
I gotcha. So but amazing. Cole, I do give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's just a good message or if anything for Case Western or anything like that, I'm going to give you about a minute and the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I always say is if you're looking into college, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about this that much, but if you are looking into getting into colleges, do it. It doesn't matter where you go. It's important just to make sure that you're growing as a person, you're building your education. And if college is that direction, go for it, man. That's the biggest thing. So, I don't really have a whole lot of other stuff. That would be my biggest thing is just make sure that if you have a goal in mind or something you want to go after, whether it's college or whatever, go after it. Why not?
All right. Yeah. I always like it when people just have a good message like that at the end of the show. I'm all for helping people promote anything they got going on. But when it's just a good message like that, I really appreciate it. I really think it's a good way to end the show, especially after the Fast 55. But that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest, Cole Schneider, for joining this show. It was a lot of fun to get to sit and talk with you. Really do appreciate you coming on. As always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rock it on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.